You know that feeling, right? Staring at the ceiling, absolutely exhausted, but your brain just will not switch off. Well, if that's you, you're in the right place. We're going to break down this really powerful idea that insomnia isn't something that's wrong with you, it's something your brain has learned. And the best part? Anything that's been learned can be unlearned. So, let's get into it.
It has to be one of the most maddening feelings on the planet. Your body is screaming for rest, but your mind is running a marathon. It honestly feels like your own brain is betraying you. But I want you to know, you are so not alone in this. It's a struggle for so many people.
This quote, this really just nails it. It requires a total shift in how we think about this problem. See, the main idea we're going to unpack here is that you haven't forgotten how to sleep. Your body knows exactly how to do it. The problem isn't sleep itself, it's the biological off-ramp from being awake into that state of sleep.
Right, so let's get a little more specific. What does that even mean? Well, think of it this way. Your body needs to shift gears. It has to go from on, our active problem-solving mode, into off, a recovery mode. For folks with insomnia, that gear shift gets stuck. Your nervous system stays in problem-solving mode, and that physically blocks the gate to recovery.
And here's the crucial part. This activation, it doesn't have to be a full-blown panic attack. It can be super subtle. I'm talking about quietly planning your to-do list for tomorrow, or replaying a conversation from earlier. Heck, even just thinking, am I feeling sleepy yet, is enough to keep your brain buzzing at this low level, and that's enough to keep you awake.
So how does this become a chronic thing night after night? It's not just bad luck. It's because your brain has actually been trained, totally unintentionally of course, to get trapped in this loop. It's learned to do the exact opposite of what you want it to do when you get into bed. And here's exactly how that training happens. It's just like Pavlov's dogs, remember them? If you lie in bed night after night, feeling frustrated, trying really hard to sleep, and just feeling more and more awake, your brain starts to build a connection. Over time, the bed itself becomes the signal, the cue that triggers all that alertness and frustration. You haven't even closed your eyes and your nervous system is already on high alert. This is another huge piece of the puzzle. You can be completely wiped out, just fatigued, but not actually feel sleepy. See, sleep pressure is that biological hunger for sleep. It's a chemical that literally builds up in your brain the longer you're awake. With chronic insomnia, you often get this double whammy. Your brain is way too activated, and at the same time, your sleep pressure is too weak. That's why you can feel dead tired, but still wired.
Okay, so we get the problem now, right? The brain has learned this really unhelpful pattern. So the solution has to be a deliberate, structured plan to reverse that learning. And notice I said reverse, not fight. This isn't about trying harder to sleep. It's about systematically creating the conditions for sleep to just show up.
So, how do we actually do it? It all comes down to these 4 pillars. These aren't just good suggestions. This is the core of cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI, which is the gold standard treatment. Each one of these steps works together to target a different part of that insomnia loop we talked about.
All right, step 1 is the absolute foundation for everything else. Your wake-up time, not your bedtime, is what anchors your body's 24-hour clock. So you've got to pick one wake-up time and be ruthlessly consistent with it. And yes, I mean every single day, weekends included. This part is non-negotiable. That consistency, plus some bright morning light, sends a powerful reset signal to your brain every day.
Now this next one is going to sound a little weird, but stick with me because it works. If you're only actually sleeping for, say, 5.5 hours, but you're spending 8 hours in bed, that extra time is just teaching your brain it's okay to be awake in bed. So what we do is temporarily restrict your time in bed to be much closer to how much you're actually sleeping. This concentrates your sleep pressure, making it so strong that it can finally overpower that pesky activation. This is how we break that old negative connection with the bed. The rule is simple. The bed is only for sleep. So, if you're not sleepy, don't get in. And if you find yourself lying there awake for what feels like 20 minutes or so, you get up. Go to another room, keep the lights low, do something boring. You only go back to bed when you feel that wave of sleepiness returning. That's the whole point right there. Every single time you get out of bed when you're awake, you are actively rewiring your brain. You're strengthening this new, powerful connection. Bed equals sleep. So getting up isn't a sign of failure. It's actually you succeeding at the retraining process.
And finally, we tackle the mental game. Thoughts like, oh no, I have to sleep now or tomorrow is ruined, that's like pouring gasoline on the anxiety fire. The goal isn't to force yourself to think happy thoughts. It's to dial down the urgency.
So you notice the thought. I'm having the thought that tomorrow will be a disaster, and you just reframe it a bit. Being tired is uncomfortable, but I've handled it before. It's manageable.
So those 4 steps are the real engine of change. But to make that engine run as smooth as possible, we need to set up the right conditions. Think of these next few things as the guardrails on the highway, just keeping you on track.
Okay, let's talk caffeine. Its half-life in your body is about 5 to 7 hours. Now think about what that means. It means half of the caffeine from a 2 p.m. coffee can still be sloshing around in your brain at 9 p.m. at night, actively blocking that transition into sleep. Timing really is everything.
And here are some hard numbers to live by, especially while you're doing this retraining. Last coffee should be before late morning. No alcohol within about 3 to 4 hours of bed. It really messes up your sleep quality. And try to finish up any big meals or intense exercise a few hours before you plan to wind down. These are the basic physiological rules of the game.
So, what happens when you actually put all of these pieces into practice? You stop fighting. You stop chasing sleep and trying to force it. Instead, you're systematically building the perfect environment for sleep to just emerge, all on its own. First, by limiting your time in bed, you build up this really strong, undeniable biological need for sleep. This powerful sleep pressure helps you fall asleep faster and stay asleep more soundly. You'll start to feel genuinely sleepy at bedtime, not just exhausted.
Second, by reconditioning your bed and managing those urgent thoughts, you're basically cutting the fuel line to your brain's anxiety engine. You teach your brain, through your actions, that the bed is a place for quiet and rest, not for work and worry. The engine finally gets a chance to idle down.
And third, with that rock-solid wake-up time and morning light, you lock in your body's internal clock. You give your whole system a clear, stable 24-hour rhythm to follow. And that makes everything, especially the timing of sleepiness, way more predictable and reliable. And honestly, this is the most important thing to remember. This whole process is just about getting out of sleep's way. You're just removing the obstacles. When you build the right pressure, reduce the mental engagement, and stabilize your rhythm, sleep just happens. It was there all along, just waiting for you to stop interfering. So the question is, what interference can you start removing tonight?